Good evening, my dear students, my great team of Orchid staff and teachers, and wonderful parents, and probably a few special invitees who are here. A warm welcome to this beautiful evening where we have the privilege of hosting our 6th edition of TEDx the Orchid School event, featuring 6 of our very own members of the orchid community. I take this young boy who is from ICER also as part of our community. This event is an opportunity to provide fodder for thoughts to build a great, promising future for all of us. It's a platform to train minds for questions beyond textbooks. It's also to help our youth envision artistic expressions of their world. Their privileges or lack of it, and train them to seek solutions to address the anomalies they identify. The art display outside the atrium is an example of their voices, of what they see at it as a range of problems of inclusion, self-respect, discrimination, communal and religious divide, our society's colorblind attitude to LGBTQ community, the upward mobility defined in most singular way to success, most uni way to success. And very beautifully articulated that that's a lack of access to the ladder, or the access is only for very few people. And very, very few windows of opportunities that we adults keep showing them, be it a career or our life's linear timeline, and how they need to lead their lives. It reminds me of Cat Stevens' famous song, Father and Son. I wonder if you've heard it. You must go and listen to it. You're still young. That's your fault. There's so much you have to know, including find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. And we train you not to see the other windows and doors that are open. Congratulations, the organizing committee, for such a great platter today that's awaiting us, both talks and performance. Thank you for grabbing this privilege to curate a great event amidst all the other pressing demands of your life. My deep appreciation to each one of you. There is a popular quote in Spider-Man's story where Uncle Ben tells Peter Parker, "With great power comes responsibility." You remember the comic strip? I'm guessing 4 out of 5 of you attribute this quote and the title to the Spider-Man's movie and comic books. But research shows where the origin finds it can be attributed to a whole lot of historic figures, including Voltaire and Winston Churchill. However, historically, the undated and unattributed quote dates back to the French Revolution. A common understanding of this quote is that power is in our hands and it must be used responsibly. And this is huge proclamation or declaration or a statement in an age where so much power, economic, military, social, otherwise, lies in the hands of few. Much can be said about this, but I want to focus today just a very short one on privilege is equal to power, hence privilege, power, responsibility, and its interrelationship. As you know, for all of you and for us, it comes in so many forms, including class, caste, gender, wealth, race, physical fitness, skin color. Ooh, that's not a privilege? Yeah, but some of us believe that. Body features, of course, zero figure is a privilege for some, but hence the others are not privileged. Abilities, sexual orientations, unfortunately, to be straight seems to be a privilege, and hence others are not very privileged. Educational attainment, employment, I can just go on and on and on listing. However, the people who have those things are usually unaware of their power and influence. A lot of us think that once we have some form of privilege and power, we can usually use it over people, thinking that we can influence, inspire, impact, or exploit. However, history and current day social political climate has a lot of people showing them becoming corrupted and using this privilege in a very negative way. But the good part of the story is, even in a small scale, we do see powerful people beat down, not literal sense, but in many ways to attack the negative elements and stand up in our classrooms, in our school, families, neighborhood, workplace. With great power comes great responsibility has a simple meaning. If you have the ability to do something, make sure that you do it for the good of others. Highly admired people have done that, and they have followed the spirit of this message. If you can stop something bad happening, stop it. If you don't, and for this you don't have to be a hero or a superhero or a superheroine. It's possible to do small actions that have a big impact in your world, in your environment. Hence, I view the privilege as like an onion, the layers of privileges that we all have. Some have it more, some have it less, but we all have privileges with reference to someone else. Context may differ. Understanding the layers doesn't mean the same as wanting to dismantle and eradicate them altogether. While we may be oblivious to our inherited advantages, those who differ from the norm are always being made aware of their differences, whether it's because of the street harassment endured by a young woman or the fact that people with specific sounding names, please hear this carefully, specific sounding names, surnames, in the international scenario, your ethnicity and your race, you may have to send applications time and again, and your name can help you be chosen or rejected. This obliviousness is often why we privileged don't turn up for the workshop, because if I'm going to be the selected one, I don't need to be part of the conversations of equality and equity. And hence, I don't need to be part of any of the corrective measures and mechanisms of the society. And that's why we pin our hopes on you. How can you leverage your privilege to change it? I just have 4 mantras very quickly. The first one, figure out your layers of identity that you think about least, because we don't think about our privileges in a very conscious way. Once you have pinpointed them, you have identified your ordinary privilege. Let's say a good, strong mental health that most of us have, a lot of us have, and some people don't have it, and they go through a lot of ups and downs. Second, start learning with what people who lack that ordinary privilege encounter as challenge at workplace or in schools or in classrooms or in families or in relationship. People with mental health issues do face a lot of things that you and I don't face. Third, look for the opportunities to speak and act. Be an advocate of their cause. And you don't have to confront, and that's not the only way in which you have to use your ordinary privilege. Instead, ask questions to the community, raise issues, and add perspectives that are not organically emerging in school discussions or in your classroom or in your peer group. Well, you are an extremely netizen community, so use data, use information. Invite people into conversations, people who have been there and done that and got out of their mental health pitholes. And create interest around that idea. We can amplify the views of people not being heard and bring back conversation when somebody is interrupted. And I know you all recognize these dynamics in your spaces. And we can also notice when bias is played around and name it, call it and say, hey, that's a prejudice that we need to be very careful of. The fourth and the most important one, in your enthusiasm to campaign and do advocacy work, don't forget to give them the mic so they become their own voices. And that's your responsibility because you have that privilege. In a world where oppression has been the norm, patriarchy has been the rule maker, self-awareness proves to be not just the best antidote to this concerning issue, but also the highest form of intelligence a person can possess. Intelligence, especially of emotional intelligence, social intelligence. Privilege is not a bad thing, so don't have to apologize. Okay? You're born with it, you inherited it, you made it, or you earned it. But it can be used for a revolutionary purpose. Understanding your privilege, therefore, is awakening. The more privileged one is, the more access we have to resources in general, but also the capacity to hold in society to do something. And this capacity is what we call the agency. Use your privilege to be the agent of change that you want to see and create history. Thank you so much. Thank you.